Hi, this is the news, and we're live at the White House. We are going to bring you live coverage of the press conference briefing with Trump. And, of course, we're 2 hours late, and nevertheless, I think, yep, here he comes, as slow as he can be. And we'll get you the recording right now. My fellow Americans, hello. It's Trump. Hope you're enjoying your stimulus checks. By the way, thank you. Thank you very much. No, I did that by myself. No, that was fantastic. And thank you for supporting me, the ones out there protesting like great Americans, not believing in science, not believing in anything like that, going out and wanting to just be normal people. Forget that there's death going on. The death toll is going down. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about nothing. It's okay. You do not need your mask. Never mind the scientists and the doctors behind me. They know nothing as much as I do, and I know everything. So don't worry about anything at all. I stand with Michigan. I stand with those in Huntington Beach. I stand with those in Minnesota. You heard that Canadian effect right there. Minnesota. Not simply fantastic people going out and just being Americans, spending their hard earned money. Simply fantastic people, just fantastic. Don't worry, folks, this will be over soon. I trust by the end of this month, everything will be back to normal. And by normal, I mean chaos. Speaking of chaos, here's a little something to get it out of your head. The Chair podcast with James, simply fantastic stuff. It's perfect, like me. You hear these briefings, you're going to hear great stuff, just like in the podcast. So, James, take it away. Well, thank you, Mr. Trump. Uh, Good luck with everything. I don't know if we're done by a month, but it's interesting. Hi again, everybody, and welcome to the Chair Podcast number 3. And I'm just feeling for all the people out there that lost their jobs, lost their loved ones. Seriously, just trying to think of other stuff to talk about and to say, but there's really nothing else going on when you think about it. So, with that being said, we can just get right down to it, get rid of the virus stuff first, and get to the other topics that are going on. Some stuff going on this weekend, some stuff that just happened. I would love to get to all of that first. I think I'll hit you with this AKAs that I am known as. And here we go. AKA the long range shooter. Catch me out at Fireside Park. How about that? Oh, wait. Yeah. We're on lockdown, so I haven't been able to shoot anything at all. I mean, anything. I'm like Jason Tatum. I haven't touched a basketball since all this has gone on. AKA the non-blonde Larry Bird from way downtown. Bang. AKA the young John Taffer. Shut this freaking place down and clean the fucking place out. I believe that you can do this. AKA cookies and cream. Come here and look me up, girl. You know you're my favorite flavor. AKA the 5-star essay. Fart in my face and I'll slash your face. Hey Holmes, I love spending time inside, but I miss the outside world too. AKA the Cougar Recruiter. Hide your wives and your moms because I'm ready to drop some bombs. AKA the White OJ. I love white girls named Nicole, and I love my president. AKA the White Bill Cosby. I have your vanilla pudding pop right here. But you won't remember anything because you'll be gone. You won't remember one thing. Where's Claire? AKA brown softballs. You know why? Because I have big balls. AKA the White Prince. Because baby, I'm a star. AKA the Incredible Edible Eater and the Non-Stop Eater. AKA Total Savage. AKA Big Game James. Not Big Game James Worthy, even though I got mad respect for him. But Big Game James. AKA Plain James. This, before I used to get like nothing on cheeseburgers. Like no lettuce, tomato, ketchup. But now, yeah, I mess with some stuff. Just not onions. I don't mess with onions. And mustard. AKA pull out master to avoid a disaster. I'm all about that. AKA the brown Bobby Knight because I love to throw chairs. And hopefully you won't see that side of me, girl. I was just kidding. AKA California cool. Like the waves at the beach, which, no one has seen because you can't go to the beach. AKA Jew boy. It'd be a shame if all those pennies went to waste. Here, let me collect those. Wait, they're on the ground, and we can't be outside, so never mind. You keep those pennies. It looks like you need it. Anyway. Well, have you got your virus check yet? I wonder those out there have. I haven't yet, and I'm wondering when I'll get mine. But honestly, other from paying stuff off, I don't know what I would do with it. With the rest of it, I should say. So that would be a thing. I wonder what people will do with them. The ones that that smartly saved up money, that already not need it for rent or for mortgages, car payments, whatever. I just wonder what people will do with them through all this time because it's not a lot of money. Because I remember reading this tweet about $1,200 seems to be a lot of money. Well, my rent is $1,400, and it kind of made you think. Well, okay, you only need $200 more. Okay, how much do you spend on like food and stuff since you can't go out? You can make it with that, but what about next month and the next month and the next month? So, as good friend says, that's not enough for anything much when you think about it. There was this dumbass, I think, on TV. I don't know the name, I don't remember anything, but they said, oh yeah, this $1,200 could last you months. I don't know what area is like that where $1,200 will last you months. I really don't. Unless you're like on a farm out by yourself, or you're homeless, or you're just in a vacant house or something. Okay, maybe I can see that, but what about like regular hardworking folks, or not? You could be lazy working too, or not working at all and have the money, but you still have to pay stuff. But yeah, it doesn't go that much, I don't think. So, but at least there's something. At least the government gave us something. Well, they gave us this virus. But, I guess that's up to what you think. So, the virus news, I keep hearing more and more about a second wave of the virus and the cases in China, There's more coming. Thing is, there's the travel restrictions are still on, so I don't know if it could come here. The optimistic side of me says that, and that would be great um, to avoid any any new cases here. I just think that you gotta get you gotta get this all done by just staying home and not doing what the president or what states or governors are saying to do. Just it's okay, go out. Don't worry about nothing. This whole virus thing. Don't worry about it. It's total bullshit. I can't believe it. I was reading about the Spanish flu, and I know different timing. 100 years ago. Still, the numbers were very staggering back then. It's not at that point yet, but the numbers are steadily climbing still. So, you know, if you want the numbers, okay. There was 500 million cases worldwide back in um, 1918 through 1920. 50 million people died. There was no vaccine back then. I don't think people knew what to do. And the stupid thing that I saw just today, and it alarmed me because of all these openings that are going to happen, all these soft openings, let's just say, is that they're going to do a soft opening and get more people sick. And it would be a repeat of what happened in Philadelphia, where there was a parade when they thought the virus was pretty much tamed, and they had all these people on the streets just lined up. 75,000 people, I think, and or maybe more, but are all lined up. And they had this war parade for the soldiers going to World War One, and 72 hours later, there was all the hospitals full of people that were sick, and about 4,000 people, 4,500 people who died because everybody was together. They did not social distance like they were, and it's an alarming thing because hey, what if they do that here now, letting people back out and then getting more people sick and dying, and it's all ages. At first, I was clueless about it because they said, "Oh, it's just elderly dying," and that is true. I mean, the elderly are dying, but it's every age group out there that's dying, and that's the sad thing. That I was so naive to think it was just old people, and the stories I hear more and more and more about all age groups and even babies. That's just terrifying to me to think about that. So, I wouldn't advise going out doing things like everything's normal. I mean, the sports leagues aren't going out there. You have all these optimistic people about the sports leagues playing, no fans, but still everybody congregating in one state in one area to play games. What if you have a breakout just right then and there? I know they have all the medical attention. I know they have all that. And but what if a player dies, like we've seen with hockey? Granted, it wasn't, a mashup of all the playoff teams being in one place, but still, if it happened at one of those places like that, where you have everybody there playing games, you open yourself up a can of worms that you'll never get uh, you'll never get over, because you put people in harm's way. You put employees in harm's way if you're the head of the leagues. And it was not shocking, but it was just tough to see Von Miller get the virus because he did not follow the social distancing rules. There's an Instagram post where he's hanging out with his friends, and they don't live with him, I don't think. So, whomever it may have been hanging out with him, gave him the virus. Or the suspicion is that he got a new tattoo somewhere around his torso, let's just say. And that could be somehow related to the virus. I don't know. But you really have to think, okay, getting a tattoo is probably not a great thing right now. Hanging out with people is not a great thing right now. You have all the money in the world, being an NFL player, big contract. Everybody knows you. Why put yourself in that jeopardy? But I know Von Miller's in a great physical state. I know that he's not have to worry about not getting a test. So he'll be fine, but he's just got to be smarter. And it's a lesson for everyone out there to be smarter, not to just go out because somebody tells you to. You have to look at all the sides. You have to look at what is scientifically right. I don't care what side you're on. I think you just have to be smart about your own life and then about others. Don't be stupid, basically. So, one thing that I wanted to mention as well, and shout out to another friend, Carlos, who had these videos of these on-site testing areas where you can drive up and get tested. I don't know what time of the day these videos were made, but he rolled up, Carlos did, and these testing sites had no one at them in Ohio, Toledo, I believe. It makes you kind of wonder what is going on. Why isn't people out there? But, excuse me, you have to think maybe, not allow people out. And if people don't have the symptoms, they're not going to go out and get a test. Maybe it's worse in other places, and I should have read that probably. But it's still a great precaution to have those people out there, regardless if they're being used or not. But just in case something happens, you can have a test ready to go right then and there. But that was alarming for sure. And then my girl said, "Hey, you should watch that movie Contagion." And I was like, "Do I really need to? Do I really want to put myself through any trauma or worry?" And I looked back at that and I said, "Well, I'll give it a look." And I'm not one of those that will shy away too much from something that's tough to see or whatnot. It's a movie, so there's got to be, some parts of it that aren't true and what's not really going on right now. But here's my Contagion review. Of course, it came out in 2011. Had so many great actors and actresses in it. Some I recognize and some I didn't, but I've seen before, but I didn't know their names. But if you haven't seen it, I suggest you do. Basically, what's funny, the beginning it said day 2, not day 1. So when I got to look at that, I was like, why is it starting on day 2? Shouldn't it be day 1? you see how it all started. But they went to day two, and Gwyneth Paltrow, who was on a business trip, was just kicking it with the. That's so racist. I want to say which Asian people, Asian people, but I think it was Japanese. Are you Chinese or Japanese? Like King Hank Hill said, but at any rate, wherever it started, let's just say. So there was basically she was hanging out and touching things like life was normal, like touching glasses and taking pictures, shaking hands with all the people over in let's just say Asia. They were just hanging out. She was on a business trip, and before that, though, I think she went to Chicago to meet up with her ex boyfriend or husband, and they smashed. But she was married to Matt Damon, and that was troubling to see about that, and it makes Gwyneth Paltrow look very bad. But in real life, she made Chris Martin not be happy of Coldplay, so that kind of made me unhappy because he's all about having fun and all that, and Gwyneth just brought him down. At any rate, I digress. So Gwyneth is out there. She starts feeling sick. She comes back to the U.S. And starts like coughing and coughing and coughing. All the symptoms, and then you just say, hey, it's the flu, it's influenza. And then one morning, the son gets it too. But somehow Matt Damon don't get it, which is crazy to me. Somehow Matt Damon doesn't get it through all this, and he's not wearing a mask. He's not wearing anything. They have a daughter that's out to college, so you don't see her until later. But Gwyneth Paltrow ends up passing away, passing out on the kitchen floor. Basically, just coughing up and just dying. I'm trying to find a discombobulated, some combustion, something like that. I don't know. I'm George W. when it comes to all this, but they all die that way, and the son dies that way, and then the wife comes over. I mean, not the wife. The daughter comes over and sees Matt Damon in the 14-day quarantine isolation. Then they have the family back, and it's just them two. They lost the son, lost the wife, and Matt Damon finds out that she cheated on him by way of a doctor asking, why would she go to Chicago? The flight plan was just supposed to go back to wherever Matt Damon and them lived. I can't remember. I should know. Somewhere north. Anyway, yeah, and then you see like Asian people get it. Dude is just like dizzy, and like runs into the street or walks into the street because he don't know where he's going, and he gets hit by a van and he dies. So you see all these people have all these symptoms all across the world, all touching each other, touching things, and the movie is basically just what you're seeing now, and it's just very alarming to see that because you're like, shit, that's what we're doing. I'm not touching anything anymore outside, and I haven't. Honestly, haven't without gloves. I haven't gone out without a mask. I've been really smart with everything, and I never thought about it, but sometimes movies are, the guiding lights we need to really wake us up, and I think that movie really, Contagion, woke us up. There's so many things about it though. Lawrence Fishburne is in there. Uh, he always does great in all the movies. Malcolm's dad is in there as I think the attorney, I mean the surgeon general, and the crazy thing about this, they had a vaccine, but it was only for people with certain, excuse me, I think letters, and they did a lottery of it. You know how the balls roll over in like the NBA lottery back in the day. They had something like that in the movie, where you would get the vaccine if the ball was in your favor in the lottery, and that was just really alarming to see. I know that that's not true, but I could only imagine what this country would be like in that case if something like that happened. And the government's playing with us like that, with the lottery balls going, and oh my god, I have to wait a year for the vaccine and all that. That's just crazy to me. So, Sana Lathan, I can't remember her name, but she was in there too, and host of it. Jude Law was this internet reporter that is a conspiracy guy and really did his homework and did his research and went after the government and its people, and he was awesome in that movie. Kate Winslet was one of the doctors who was working with the CDC and went up to Minnesota. Yeah, that's where it was, Minnesota, and she somehow got the virus and died. And that was really alarming because she was sent up there from Georgia to to see what was going on, and all the obstacles of trying to help and try to fix things, and that was crazy to see in that case, because I honestly haven't heard Kate Winslet since like Titanic. I don't know anything else she's done, but she was awesome in that movie. And it's a segue to one of my other topics. Ladies, you can have your, man crushes in movies and celebrities. Well, I have my women actresses in um, my movies and my preferences. Let's just say, and Kate Winslet made it there for sure, and then Lawrence Fishburne's wife in that made it in there for sure. But there was other ones in there. I think Lisa. I mean, not in that movie, but there's others out there. I forgot the light skinned girl in the Johnson Family Vacation. Lisa some I can't remember her name, but yeah, her. Of course, Tina Fey. Like all the SNL people, pretty much the women there. Well, except a few, but most of them. Um, all the Mad TV women out there. Um, there's some other actresses like a lot of them I follow on Instagram, and I'm like, wow, you know, they might be of a certain age, but they still look tremendous. Like the women that were in The Office, um, the women that do the animation voices. Think of um, Paula Adon, Adelan, did voices for like Bobby Hill and other people in the show, King of the Hill. And I just think not only beauty but talent. And then um, I don't remember what Nancy Cartwright sounds like or looks like, but I know she's Bart Simpson and other people in The Simpsons. So I just think that's amazing how certain women are out there and using their talents, not just their beauty. I just love that. So, you know, I always had a thing for Tina Fey, always. So, um, I know my brother had a thing for Sigourney Weaver, and I can kind of see why. Uh, if you go back a little bit, you go like Susan Sarandon and uh, gosh, Sybil Shepherd. Oh, excuse me. Oh gosh, there's so many others. I'm just trying to remember names and faces, and like we mentioned before, it's funny seeing the women on Full House grow up. You know, from like little to adult, and it's like, wow, okay. It's too bad DJ's Christian, but she thick. uh, but yeah, so shout out to all the women actresses that I that I like for sure. So, speaking of things non-virus, but has a little bit to do with it, I guess, timing wise. But uh, ESPN/ABC Sunday at 6, they're gonna do the Last Dance documentary about the 97-98 Chicago Bulls, and I really want to see that. At first, they portrayed it to be a Michael Jordan documentary, and maybe they'll go back in time just a little bit, just to bring you up to that last season. Uh, but I'm then told, okay, it's not a Michael Jordan documentary, and whoever says that is wrong. It's simply that last Dance Bulls team who went on to finish their second three-peat. And all the things I hear about it, all the rave of it, it's just, I really want to see it just based on what people say. And I would love to see more and more and more of it. And we will, because of the virus, because there's no basketball. The timing of it comes sooner. It's supposed to be in June, and now it's every. I don't know if it's every Sunday or every couple 4 days or whatever it is. They're going to be showing the 10 chapters in parts, and I can't wait to see it. I'm itching for like anything new and basketball, basically. Not horse. I didn't watch horse. That I didn't care about that. The WNBA draft was on today, but of course I didn't watch that. But I support women in sports, no doubt. Um, but you kind of don't really want to watch anything pertaining to seasons coming up because they might not have a season coming up. As a transition, the NFL draft is Thursday, and the commissioner is going to be doing the draft from his basement in his mansion somewhere in the tri-state area. And it's going to be just like the WNBA draft. If you saw any of that, the commissioner was in her house office announcing picks. And it'd be interesting to see how the teams draft. Of course, they all have conference calls. They all have they all have the social distancing going on, so nobody's really out there. Everybody's at home doing the draft work and what you need to do, and I can't wait to see how that's gonna go. It's something new, but the way people are talking and the way that things are going, how we might have a second virus in the fall, is that we're not gonna have NFL football. And if we won't have college students going back to school, we're not going to have college football. It's as simple as that. We're not having pro days that happen because, everything was shut down. So I wonder how these prospects will be looked at when you see these teams drafting the players. I wonder what they're going on. just based on Wonderlic test, you know how smart they are, or just based on raw talent. I really want to see, and I really want to hear the explanations of why certain teams drafted certain players. Because everything is up in the air right now, probably except the first pick of Joe Burrow going to the Bengals. But other from that, excuse me, everything is up in the air. There's teams that want to maybe draft out of the pick they're in, teams that want to move up, teams that want to move down. So this year will be very interesting, just based on what we're going through and based on the future. Let's just say, basically like life. So I'd love to see that on Thursday. I'll definitely be watching that for sure. I'm trying to think if I had any stories. Basically, in high school, it kind of feels like high school now, but not really, because you're out doing stuff. But I was pretty much a loner until a certain age, and I moved around a lot, and had my certain cliques, had my certain things I was doing. But other than that, it was always a struggle, and these days are kind of reminding me of that, just because you're not really out there doing anything. You're going home. You're just doing work. You're watching TV. You want to go out and hang at the malls, but you can't. You want to do whatever to do something. And for me, I want to see my girl again. But the way no contact, the way the social distancing is, it's killing me. It's reminding me of kind of when in high school, when I had girlfriends and it was late night, but they lived across town, and you had school the next day, so you couldn't go out. It kind of reminds me of that, and it just brings up memories, some good, some bad. I've had my share of girlfriends and friends, and somehow, you lose them all. You try to gain them back, like in looking back at old yearbooks and trying to see where people are nowadays. I love doing that. So sometimes I'll do that, go back and see yearbooks and look up names and see how fat people got. I love doing that. And but there's other examples of certain people that really made themselves something. And those stories I just I'm jealous of, pretty much, I guess. Um, yeah, that was pretty cool, just to go back and see what people are doing. It's just funny. Uh, it's just weird because Todd, the friend of mine, he has his group there and his friends there and this party. And this Facebook friend that I knew back in high school, but we didn't really talk much, but we talked some, later on, and then I moved away. But it was funny, he was one of Todd's friends, and then we met up and talked for a little bit. So that was pretty cool. And remind you, that was like 15, 16 years ago, the last time I saw him. And it's just amazing how these things have gone. So if you're listening out there, if you're out there listening, I would just say, hey, try to get in contact. You can't, in person. But if you're ever wondering about someone, if you're ever wondering about a friend you used to have, or someone you knew in high school, and you could find them somewhere on social media, You have to look up their name in yearbooks. Since you have nothing to do, you're probably going in your garage like I have, and finding stuff to look up and going through old things. When you were young, and you see names that bring back memories, and just wonder where you are, wonder where they are, and you give them a message or something, and then you know, I think that'd be cool to do out there for everyone, and just to see who's out there still, and hopefully they're alive and well. Brings me to another thing about that Contagion movie. They had where Kate Winslet died. They had him being her and the other victims of the virus being buried underground together, but not in these makeshift wooden caskets, but just side by side in these bags where you still see her face because she was lying in this makeshift hospital. And last image of her was heroic because she was trying to hand someone a jacket going through chills. And then she closed her eyes after she let the jacket go on the ground laying down. And then they show her face where she's dead. And I was like, whoa. I had to go back and watch that over. And there was a few times that movie where I had to go back and watch scenes over. And that would get me to the ending. But the part with the casket, makeshift caskets being made on the ground, remind me of the scene in New York where they had about a week ago, I believe, where people were being buried in these wooden caskets underground and then being shoveled underneath. I just couldn't believe that. Just couldn't believe the similarities in that way. Like, honestly, I couldn't believe it at all. I couldn't believe it. How? How do you have that same image? Unless you're watching unless the government and Trump is watching the movie or whoever, they're like, okay, if this happens, do what they did in the movie. What the hell? You know what I'm saying? And then it's not funny, but the crazy thing about the ending of the movie, they had, people getting back to normal after some rioting, and Matt Damon's there, and they had this, they had it all vaccinated out with the daughter and the daughter's boyfriend. They had a prom dance in their living room. Of course, because they couldn't go to school prom. But they had the way the virus got started. And once you know, it was this bat that was just hanging out, excuse me, in a farm, a flying bat that was in the farm. Somewhere in Asia, again, not being racist, I just don't know the differences by heart or by sight. But okay, the bat is hanging from the ceiling. He drops, I don't know, drops some type of food or some object down to the pig, and the pig eats it up, whatever that bat had. And then the pig gets selected by the farmers, and then pig, is cut up and taken to the slaughterhouse, and then being cooked and served, to everybody. Once you know it, the restaurant Gwyneth Paltrow's at is where the pig was being cut up and cooked. And then it shows that the chef who was touching the pig. Uh, they didn't show him washing his hands. Fat bastard. You know, they didn't show him washing his hands. So they say, hey, you want to go meet Gwyneth Paltrow character in the movie. So they go out to the restaurant from the kitchen, and Gwyneth Paltrow shakes hands with the chef. That's day one, come to find out. So they waited for day one to the end of the movie and just started with day two. I still can't believe that. I'm like, what the fuck just happened? Hold on. Hold everything. So that's how the virus started. And then, if you remember what I talked about, the dude walking, excuse me, let's just say Japan. Dude walking in Japan, who got dizzy, who was getting sick, touching all the bars on the buses and the touching things on the street, who was dizzy and walked in the middle of traffic, got hit. Well, he was one of the waiters who touched Gwyneth Paltrow's glass. So this shows you how shit spreads. That makes me not want to touch anything at all for the rest of my life. I'm gonna be Howie Mandel in this bitch. Maybe I'll fist bump. That'd be weird, right? Fist bumping your girl. My girl. That'd be weird. But now those Germophobic people out there, now I don't see what, they're not crazy at all. They might seem crazy like when you're a teenager. You're a teenager, you don't have any cares. You don't care about that lupus that you're getting from sharing, spoons and straws with your friends, boyfriends, girlfriends. You think nothing's going to happen to you. You're young, you're fun. And then bam, this virus hits and you're fucked, basically. And now, all those germophobic people, I see what you're doing. I understand. I totally get it. And I understand why all the Asians be wearing masks year round. When it's flu season, when it's not flu season, whenever. Now I see why. I totally get why. So, yeah, watch Contagion. Watch that movie and let me know what you saw and the similarities. Because there's a lot of signs out there. And it's not good. It's not good. And if we keep going out and doing stuff like those people are protesting, we're not going to get over this. Sorry to bring virus back to the conversation, but it's not much to talk about. I mean, if we had like a scandal in the White House, that would be much better. We want to talk about people dying. Well, depends on what scandal, but there was a relations rule involved, let's just say. I'd rather have that right now and be able to, go to the store freely without seeing things not on the shelves. And that's a segue to another thing. I saw going to my local store, grocery store. Dude, lunch meat was all out, basically. Hot dogs were all out. Soups were all out. Freaking donuts were all out. What? Donuts. Yes. Donuts were all gone off the shelves. Now I'm thinking to myself, I hope that's for like the essential people, the responders, giving them sugar so they can continue to work, 24/7 through all this. That's the first thing I would think of for like the first responders and the essential people. I hope they're getting the supplies they need, working those long ass hours every day. Because when I saw these, the aisles being just took of like, snacks and everything, I'm thinking, man, yeah, America's fat for sure. I mean, that didn't stop me from getting whatever chips were being sold. And one thing too, what I hated to see, there were products that are usually like 2 for $6, some 3 for $10, whatever. They weren't doing that at certain stores anymore. They're price gouging people getting groceries. And I can see business wise to do that because everybody's buying in bulk and they're flocking to stores. I mean, at first, when everybody was out there buying toilet paper, paper towel, tissue, they were also getting food. And the rush was on to be the first one at the stores and knock seniors out of the way. And the seniors got their own hour. And after that, boom, everybody's at the stove. Ugh, I hate, you know, just America with freedom. So much different than other countries where, hey, you can eat whatever you want here. Don't worry about your body. If you're not someone popular, you don't have to worry about your body. You don't have to worry about anything. But if you're someone, you have to worry about your body, unless you don't care. But other countries, you can definitely see their diet is different. Their tolerance is different. And maybe in America one day, there'll be a thing called tolerance that will be exercised, and you know, I forget what song it was, but Tupac, it was something about eat just what you need, but or something like that. I can't remember, but he was talking about eating. Oh, we need to eat better. Eat it. You know, I forgot what it was. We need to change the way we eat, change the way we live. So, you know, for the people out there, especially like homeless and all that, that are barely eating anything, probably, they're living like that every day, and they're out there on the streets. And me going to work and back, I could see them out there, and I'm wondering how many of those folks have the virus and how many of them are touching things. And it's just an alarming rate that probably the government's not looking at. They're like, man, we got so much other stuff to worry about. But they're not thinking about the people that are out there touching everything. They're just, the sanitation people are just cleaning and sanitizing and spraying the surfaces down. But it goes back to, what about when they're not cleaning the surfaces? They're being touched by certain people outside. It's very hard to control, for sure, but it's just an alarming rate, for sure, that people have to really look at it and say, that's going to be a problem for anybody that needs to go out. So that's really tough for everyone out there, and just be careful. Like I say, if you don't have to, don't go out. Kids, stay in home. Don't listen to certain people. Don't get gassed up and make a mistake. Let science handle it. Not a guess, not a spirit, but science. That's the only way you get through this type of thing, like a virus. You get through it with science and precaution, and then finally action. So that's all I have to say about that. It's been great doing this podcast, number 3. We'll have number 4 for you next week on the Chair podcast, and hopefully we'll be talking about better days next week. That would be better for sure, and I want to laugh more when people are with me here. I want to have more stories. I just felt maybe with my family and my exes, I just wanted to leave them alone this week. Fact is, I couldn't think about anything. I had my mind on watching what I saw on Contagion. So none of my exes came up. I could just say, hey, there's a reason why they're my ex. They all didn't like me after a while, and I can see why. Basically, and then same thing goes with my family. Maybe that's why I'm apart from them. So hopefully next week we'll have more stories. I'll come up with something, and hopefully it won't be so much virus news, but probably doubt it. So for the Chair Podcast 3, it's been James, and we'll see you next time. Later.